Well, GB News' political correspondent Olivia Utley joins us now. Olivia, this is one mighty fall, isn't it? Would it worry him, though?
Well, it's an absolutely huge fall, and it really is quite astonishing. The Prime Minister, who was elected less than 3 months ago with an absolutely enormous majority, now has an approval rating of -26. Rishi Sunak, to put that in context, is on -25. And if you look at other Prime Ministers 3 months after taking office, there aren't any who are that low. Someone like Tony Blair, for example, was well into the favourability ratings, whereas Boris Johnson was on about -5 a few months after his 2019 election win. So that just goes to show the scale of the disillusionment with this new Labour government. Another poll out in the Sunday Times today shows that 1 in 7 people who voted Labour, again just 3 months ago, now regret doing so. Is Keir Starmer worried about that? Well, on the face of it, he does have this enormous majority. He can push through basically any legislation that he likes, as we've seen with that very unpopular child benefit cap, and of course with the winter fuel credits. He was able to get those measures through Parliament very, very easily, even though there was a lot of backlash in the wider country and on his own backbenches. But I think this does pose a bit of an existential problem for him going forwards. Unlike previous Prime Ministers with enormous majorities, like Tony Blair or Margaret Thatcher, Labour MPs don't really feel as though they owe Keir Starmer their seats. The Labour Party won this election because the Conservatives were deeply unpopular and because the Labour Party was popular, but not particularly because Keir Starmer himself was popular. Even during the election campaign, his approval ratings really weren't very high, not much higher than Rishi Sunak's. And the problem with that for the Prime Minister is that if any more of these scandals embroil Labour, and it isn't just the freebie scandal, it's also the fact of Sue Gray's pay. That might not be something which is that interesting to the wider public, but inside Westminster and among civil servants and special advisors, it's really, really angered people. Sue Gray, the Prime Minister's Chief of Staff, is paid more than the Prime Minister. Now, if any more scandals like that embroil the Labour Party, then you could end up in a situation where Labour front benchers and backbenchers begin to move against the Prime Minister. They wouldn't have done it to someone like Tony Blair because they felt as though Tony Blair had won them their seats. They felt grateful to Tony Blair. They don't feel like that about Keir Starmer. And looking forwards, not yet perhaps, but in a year, maybe 2 years, that could start to be a bit of a problem.
Hey guys, Keir Starmer isn't doing too well in the opinion polls at the moment. His approval rating is currently just below Rishi Sunak's, although still ahead of Liz Truss. But does this really matter? It seems like music to the ears of GB News, of course, as one of their reporters pointed out that while Keir Starmer may have had a massive victory, Labour MPs don't necessarily credit him for their victory, and the current scandals are putting pressure on his leadership. GB News political correspondent Olivia Utley explained that Starmer's approval rating has fallen dramatically, which it has. Despite winning an enormous majority less than 3 months ago, his rating is now at -26, compared to Sunak's -25. When compared to other Prime Ministers 3 months into office, it's striking. Tony Blair had strong approval, and even Boris Johnson was only around -5 at his 2019 win. Another poll in the Sunday Times showed that 1 in 7 people who voted for Labour in the last election now regret it. Despite Starmer's large majority, which allows him to pass legislation with ease, there's a growing sense of disillusionment. Labour MPs don't feel as loyal to Starmer as previous MPs were to leaders like Blair or Thatcher. They don't feel Starmer won them their seats, they see it more as a rejection of the Conservatives. The problem for Starmer is that if more scandals like the freebie scandal or the issues around Sue Gray's pay, she earns more than he does, comes to light, his MPs might start turning against him. Unlike Blair, who MPs felt indebted to, Starmer doesn't have that same loyalty. Now, while Olivia raises some valid points, it's important to know that right now, no one in Labour seems ready to replace Starmer, and it's still early days. Starmer has focused on getting the difficult issues out of the way first, and then hopes to shift attention to growth and improvement. He didn't win like Blair, and his election was more of a vote against the Conservatives than for Labour. Starmer's personal popularity isn't likely to surge, but that's not necessarily critical. As mentioned, the average voter doesn't care much about these scandals, whether it's about glasses, clothes or Sue Gray's salary. People care about the cost of living and how the government can improve their lives. If Starmer's government can do that, the public will likely support Labour regardless of his approval rating. It is possible that Starmer could be replaced if he becomes a drag on the party. If Labour delivers for ordinary people, they will be re-elected, no matter who's in charge. But let me know what you think. I've been Jake from Just Jake, and as always, subscribe to the channel and I'll see you next time. You actually made it to the end of the video. If you would like to subscribe to the channel, which, why haven't you already, is somewhere over there. And also, if you want to watch more videos, also check out over there. I've been Jake from Just Jake. See you later.